We acknowledge that our work takes place on unceded and occupied territories of the 575 plus Native nations. We are inviting you to take a moment to reflect on whose land you are living and working on. And if you don't know, to research and reflect. In addition, there's only one water, one earth, one sun, one sky, one moon. We are all here working together peacefully.
I worry about you sometimes, Dakota. All these women disappearing and cops. They don't do nothing.
You ain't gotta worry about me, Nietzsche. I got my girls looking out.
No one cares about a bunch of Indian hookers and town drunks.
I'm looking for your sister.
She left pretty upset. I haven't seen her since.
You have to help me find her, please.
We don't have to do shit.
Yeah, I see things. Dark things sometimes.
My family needs me. Doesn't your family need you?
We've been hunting down a murderer for 10 years, and you think I'd just leave?
Think it's easy out there? If you didn't make minimum wage at that shit-eating job, maybe I wouldn't have to help support this family.
It's not just women that go missing here. Men go missing here, too.
Put your hands where I can see them.
You know how it is. Some good days, some not so good days. Work's been murder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show, our monthly film series. Donashe Oyate Rianka Poen, People Who See This Woman, Joanelle Romero Conce. I'm your host today, and we are very excited about our guests that we're going to be speaking with and sharing with. We're going to share about the movie Abducted, which is an inner city teenage boy's life is turned upside down when his drug-running sister goes missing. Lakota's sudden disappearance leaves Derek to piece together the clues of her abduction. Derek experiences visions which he struggles to understand, but which help him on his quest to find her. As he gets close to finding his sister, Derek ends up in the fight of his life. So we're going to be talking about missing and Indigenous women, which is a pandemic, actually all over the world, especially in most, in Indian country. And we're going to be talking about Cannes Film Festival. And we're going to be talking about this film and so many other wonderful things. The monthly film series is Who Tells the Story Matters, Creating Systemic Change Through the Arts and Media. Never before in the history of the entertainment industry has there been a monthly film series dedicated to Native cinema. It's founded in March 2020, right before the pandemic hit. So we've been basically virtually online for the last couple of years. Red Nation Celebration Institute spotlights important stories from a Native perspective each month. This year will be virtual experience streaming on Red Nation Television Network, Red Nation International Film Festival Facebook page, and our YouTube channel, Red Nation Films. In-person screenings will resume in 2023. So today's conversation, we're going to talk about and introduce our wonderful guests, our creative, talented director, writer, producer, actresses, But I want to give a disclosure. One of our talent, Joel and Pooky, someone's working. They're working on set. So this is a good thing. I'm going to introduce our guests right now. I'd like to introduce Daniel Foreman. He's the director and writer of Abducted, the movie. Sharlene Millang. Millang, and she is the producer. And I would like to introduce Olivia, Kate, and forgive me the pronunciation of your last name, and Helen. Same thing. Where's Helen? There she is. Okay, well, welcome. Welcome. I am so excited to have a chat with you. This conversation is going to be inspirational, I know. I want to start off with and have the audience, learn about Daniel. This question is for you.
Okay.
Why would you pick such a difficult subject to write about? What in your psyche and your heart led you to write such a story? Abducted, the movie.
It's kind of it was a long process to get there, but being in Edmonton, where we're all originally from, there's been a serial murderer that's been hunting at-risk women for decades, and every once in a while the federal police authorities will issue a description, and then it just kind of gets swept underneath the rug. And I thought, what if I take that idea and then make a dramatical version of it? So that's kind of where that came from. And we had been researching this for probably 8 years. So we met a number of police officers and just people that had like one of our actresses, she had lost her mother. Like her mother was one of the missing and murdered Indigenous women. So it became very personal after a while.
And how long did it take you to write the script?
Longer than I care to. I had never done a feature. Now I'm over the hump, but it was about an 8-year process.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Daniel is one of our mentors for our Native Indigenous Student Academy for Cinematic Arts. So when we have that lab, Daniel, that's going to be exciting for the students to be introduced to you and learn about your process of screenwriting.
I'm excited about that. And I like teaching too, so this will be good. Be fun.
Yeah. And Sharlene, you're the producer. And being a producer myself, first of all, how did you and Daniel meet and become partners in producing films?
Daniel and I met a little over 10 years ago on someone else's film set. We clicked, and I started working with him on the short film that he was creating as part of a class that he was taking. And my passion is acting. And so I came on board with him as an actor, but as we started working together, he would say, I need a location. And I said, I can get that. I need actors. I can get that. I need a car. I can get that. And then he said, well, you know what? You're a producer. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm an actor. But yeah, no, producing, it fit in so well with my education and experience that it's been a really beneficial segue for both of us for me to fill in this role.
Well, both of you have had a few animation films, right, at Red Nation International Film Festival over the years, and have won actually as well. Yeah, so we really love your work, both of you.
Thank you.
And thank you for supporting us. The animations is something that we're still working on. It's fairly expensive, so it's a little bit of a slower process.
Right. Yeah. I know I have some projects, but that's another conversation. Okay. So, so I want to introduce the actresses, the actors on this intense film. Olivia and Helen are the stars. Well, a few of the stars of the film. And Olivia, your character is pretty, intense, rowdy. What was the process for you when you were cast for this?
Well, I did the original trailer actually when Dan was getting funding for the feature. So I kind of I did that when I was like 15. So I feel like I always kind of was Lakota, but I like to say I'm a little rough around the edges sometimes. So I think I just related to her in general, like basing her off of girls I grew up with. And, I grew up in Yellowknife. So just around like lots of Native girls. But I mean, obviously some of those scenes were a little tough, but I got through it. And I enjoyed like doing something a little bit more intense. Like you don't get a lot of these opportunities to get these like really crazy outlandish characters. So I had a lot of fun with it. It was like absolutely a dream.
Yeah. I remember in my younger acting career, I used to play those kind of roles too. They're fun character roles. I like them. So Daniel, when you were making this film, did you like come up against any issues with the police, with anyone in regards to our missing and Indigenous women, such, since this is such a heavy, especially with the topic of this serial killer?
When I was doing research, I was dealing with the RCMP. That's kind of our version of the FBI or something. And the more I dug, they decided after a bit, they just said, we're not giving you any more information.
Wow.
Because they were afraid I was going to jeopardize, because I got a pretty good character sketch that I developed on my own. And I don't think that they were very happy about that. But I mean, I'm a writer. That's what I do, is I create. I wanted to be as real as I could. And this guy having good reasons, what he thinks he's got good reasons for doing what he's doing. So yeah, other than that, everyone was very supportive. I mean, the chairwoman, she used to be the chairwoman of the WG. She was on board with us probably 5 years ago.
What's her name?
Her name is Sharlene Bearhead.
Mm-hmm.
And her and her husband both, I call him Elder Wilson. He's really helped me explore that part of my spirituality, which I never really did. So it was really, they've both been just amazing people, good mentors.
Yeah, I love when, we make a film and there's so much discovery just personally as you're developing and, making the movie, no matter which movie. Daniel, so with this topic, like there's, all over, there's so many of our missing and Indigenous murdered women that the police, they don't really, I know that our Secretary Deb Haaland this is a big thing, and she came on early on with us with our Why We Wear Red campaign, which addresses the murdered and Indigenous women and the lack of Native women in film and television, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, have you been updated? Like, is there any updates in Canada in regards to getting people, having these predators held accountable, or?
People are being informed now, but there was just a big series of talks and things that they did an inquiry. But it seems like as soon as it's done, it just, it kind of just gets swept underneath the rug at the next news thing. It is getting more into mainstream, for sure. People are starting to understand it. But as far as people being held accountable, I don't think it's a priority for the police, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the other side of this is a lot of Indigenous men go missing and murdered, but the RCMP doesn't keep track of them.
Wow.
So there's no numbers on there, which one of the things in my research, I was like, this is really important that, you know, this happens too. And I don't know if it ever will, because the cops don't care very much about the women. They definitely don't care about the men. So it's kind of we're disposable, unfortunately.
Yeah. So there's always that thing, you know, that outside of our community that they address. Why do we always make films that are so intense and, you know, like this subject matter? And you know, my film that was shortlisted, American Holocaust, shortlisted for an Academy Award, you know, and it's all about our Holocaust. And it's, you know, where's the comedy? Thank God we have Res Dogs now and other things. Why don't we focus on those stories? And, you know, from my point of view, it's like all of our stories matter, and who tells the story matters. And our stories are untapped. They're untapped. It's like the film industry just keeps making the same story, you know, just different actresses, different actors, but our stories are completely untapped. And that's what I feel, that's where I feel the hope is, where we can address heavy topic matters like this, and also our comedy and family stories and, you know, animated stories and so forth.
Yeah, it does. The trauma does come quite a bit. I think as people are healing and moving forward, we're gonna see a transition into some different type of material.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I had to do the animations because this learning about serial killers was like, it's not a healthy situation after a while, but
yeah,
it's part of the research process. You know, it's what
yeah.
it is. So.
I totally relate to that because my Holocaust film was very intense and I lived with it for so many years. And so, yeah, there's a spinoff on that, but it's different. But anyway, so do we have the sound back for Helen?
I'm hoping. Hello.
Yay!
Yay. Okay.
Okay, so everyone, this is Helen. And Helen, tell us about your experience on Abducted, the movie.
Well, first of all, thanks to Daniel and Sharlene. I mean, I was really proud to be a part of this movie. Really hits close to my heart because the issue of murdered and missing Indigenous women is a very topical issue, as you have said. And so the awareness is being created through shows such as Abducted. And for that, I'm grateful. I've known women who have been missing and murdered. So, you know, it's when you have that connection, it's something that you feel a little bit more closer to the project. And Sharlene and Dan did a great job in bringing forth this issue with this film.
Yeah, it was really, really great writing. I love the script.
Yeah.
Sharlene, like being in this subject matter, what was that like for you and your psyche and your experience producing this film?
It was so eye-opening. Like Dan and I, as we prepared to write and to put together the cast and locations, we spent a lot of time. There was a committee going through Canada called the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, and they had some very, very powerful events where we, the public, could go to the venue and to listen to the stories and listening to the pain and the heartbreak of what happened through the residential school system. And it all connects, like the residential school system, the way that our Indigenous people are treated on a daily basis. Like I've volunteered in the inner city for years and years. And I, you know, just to see what our Indigenous people are going through here in Canada. Growing up, I had no idea. Like all this stuff was going on, and it was never translated into the educational system. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and and just, yeah, had no idea. So this, for me, it's been 8 years of learning and meeting people and hearing their heart. And the resiliency has been incredible of the people that I've had the chance to connect with.
Yeah, you know, when I made American Holocaust, When It's All Over, I'll Still Be Indian, it was 27 years ago, right? And you know, in that documentary addresses all of these issues that are coming to the forefront today. And so so to me, that indicates there's hope, and you know, and discovery and accountability, and that's, you know, moving forward. So that window is open, and I'm just excited in my lifetime that I'm able to witness this, you know. And as a grandma of 3, you know, it's exciting. And I say the word exciting because it hasn't been, we haven't spoke about this really until the last couple of years, last few years, actually, you know. So it's good. It's good. And with the pandemic and with Standing Rock and Black Lives Matter and all of that, it's really brought it to the forefront. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we get to have these difficult conversations and healing conversations. So Olivia, when did you become an actress? What was that? What tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started acting when I was 13. I actually went to like a talent event thing when I was like 13 that my mom heard on the radio. And I didn't know I wanted to do like any acting or anything like that before then. But I ended up going to the talent event and really liked it. So I told my mom, I'm going to be an actor. And she just ran with it and became my momager. And it's just been me and her ever since, last almost 8 years now. Yeah, that is crazy. But, and then I just moved out here to Vancouver a couple years ago to pursue that. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations. You have a good career ahead of you. Stay with it. And Helen, forgive me, but have you been doing this for quite a long time, acting, or up
Actually, I hadn't thought of that until you just said that. I was like, I've been at this for some time. I did take a hiatus for a while when my children were growing up, and I took some time away from it. But aside from that, I start to, you know, I like to dabble in it. It really is a passion. Acting is a passion. And, you know, it's wonderful for younger people now. The doors have been opened a little bit more than when I was in this over 28 years ago. So I think that, you know, our stories are being told and we're being part of those stories. We're no longer having other people play our parts. So I think that in itself is really fresh. It's good to see that coming about, and that change will happen over years. And I think it's great timing. So those who want to get into the industry now, I think it's a really, really a great time for you to test your acting skills, or your producing skills, your directing skills, because those doors weren't as open when I first started in this industry.
I totally agree with you, Helen. I've been in this for a minute, for 45 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's taken a long time,
right.
You know, and, you know, I'm going to take a little detour here. I would like for the audience to know that's watching this, that you could stream Abducted on Red Nation Television Network for the whole month of June. And yeah, so go ahead and subscribe and experience this film. It's an important film, and I love everything about this film, and I'm glad it was made. You know, we're going to get into, like, because there's 3 actresses here, right? So when the Harvey Weinstein story broke, there's 4 actresses. actresses here. When the Harvey Weinstein story broke, and all the actresses came out with Why We Wear Black, the Golden Globes, I immediately called our Native Women in Film and Television board and trustees and said, we've got to coin Why We Wear Red and talk about our missing and Indigenous women and the lack of Native women in film and television. So we launched a campaign, and Secretary Deb Haaland came on board immediately before she was even a congresswoman. And the data is that the disheartening statistics regarding Indigenous representation in Hollywood continues today, you know. And 1977 marked the first time a Native actress carried a leading role in a contemporary movie, The Girl Called Hatter Fox. That was the first contemporary Native woman story ever produced. It took Hollywood 42 years to produce another one, and then that was Netflix's Chambers in 2019. From 2003 to 2019, it had been 16 years that America had not seen a Native actress on episodic television on ABC, CBS, NBC, or Fox. These networks completely wrote out the Native narrative in regards to Native women in film and television. Not one single Native actress worked in a co-star role, guest star, or series regular. Then in 2019, there was 2 series on the networks, but they lasted just 1 season and they're gone. So here we are, 2022, right at the beginning, no representation on the major networks. And so we really feel with this film, Abducted, and other films with this topic, and our campaign, Why We Wear Red, we really are coming together, and there's a lot of us supporting each other's efforts to talk about why we wear red and the missing and Indigenous women and the lack of Native women in film and television, you know, and where are our leading roles. So Dan and Sharlene, for making this movie and having, you know, Native women take the lead roles is it's critical. It's our children need to see us up there in these kind of roles and lead roles, are, you know, the future generations. And because, oh, there I am. There's someone that looks like me. There's someone that sounds like me. There's someone that speaks like me, you know? So I just want to thank you for making this film.
And yeah, I'd like to say too, like Olivia and Helen and Roni, Gauthier were incredible to work with, but casting Indigenous women for these roles was really challenging. So yeah, please, if it's in your heart, if it's in your soul, to put yourself forward as a performer and as a female Indigenous performer, please do so. We need more people like Olivia, Helen, and Pooky.
Yeah, and I'm so I really wish Pooky could have joined us today, because she's also very supportive of the work that we do. But hi Pooky, you'll see this after. So I'm gonna shift the conversation. I wanna speak with Daniel for a minute about his trip to Cannes. So over the years, there's been a little more and more representation, Native Indigenous representation there. And we were planning to go May of 2020, and then the pandemic, of course. So next year I'll be there with Red Nation. Hopefully you'll be there again. But can you share with us your experience?
Yeah, certainly. So I was in a university class, and the lady that ran it during manual, she took the top 6 students, and she got some money from Warner Media and Creative BC. So we basically got an all-expense trip to Cannes. And there was a group of us, like say 6 of us, and then we met some other people, and we were part of the Indigenous Screen Office. That's a newly formed screen office in Canada here. And so it was very important. That's the first time that anything like that's ever happened. So we're kind of pioneers as far as from a Canada part. I don't believe that there was any kind of group like that that had ever made that was Indigenous. So that was a lot of fun. We made some really good friendships. I mean, I'm walking the red carpet. I walked 2 red carpets. I went to the variety party. You know, I was 10 feet away from David Cronenberg and Viggo Mortensen. That was a big thrill for me. The amount of networking and business that happens, the amount of business is staggering. Like in their market, you know, it's hundreds and hundreds of exhibitors and people selling films and trying to buy films. And then there's financing going underneath and sales agents. And we were very fortunate. We were led by Screen Siren, which is a production company out of Vancouver. And the 2 women there, Christine and Trish, had been coming to Cannes since 1995. So they showed us all the back ways to do things. And she said they also set up a lot of meetings for us. So we were very, very, very fortunate. Yeah, my experience was extremely positive, and there was a lot of people that helped out with that. And it's just a magic place. I mean, there's movie stars and millionaires and lots of beautiful women. It was awful.
Yes, sounds like. What was the food like?
It was excellent. They have an unbelievable amount of restaurants and cafes, and of course there was probably 150,000 tourists there too. So I mean, it was bananas. It was quite an experience.
Yeah. So did you have a moment to screen this film there, or any film of yours?
No, it's extremely competitive. There was an opening for Directors Fortnight, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get in there. And they also have, they're a little more art house with some of their selections of their films and documentary focus. I would have loved to got in with my film, but no, I did not. This was just, and none of the students were. We were just there to learn and to network, and you know, hopefully come back next year and be the wiser. But it was an extreme learning curve, like extreme.
Extreme?
Yeah, like just was uphill like this, because you're dealing with people that have been like yourself, that have been doing this 30, 40 years, and you know, it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. And then it made me think about some of the choices. Like, do I want to be a professional writer? Do I want to work in a writing room? Because I'm working on a TV series right now called Daughters of the Wolf. And for me to showrun it, in all likelihood, I'm going to need to at least have a year or two in a writer's room. But they're looking for Indigenous writers. So there's a lot of really good timing right now. And a lot of hard work, as you know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. As any filmmaker, the task is how many films can you be involved with at one time, even, right? Or one right after the other, because there's, you know, the making, you know, the whole process of filmmaking, right? And the living with it, and the press with it, and so forth and so on. Yeah. So, well, congratulations for making it there and having a wonderful experience. It's always good to hear, you know, exciting adventures, you know, especially in Europe. I'm looking forward to go next year. I can't wait. It's, you know.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a little draining though, because you're going like all the time and all the parties and everything else. It's a lot of it's networking. I mean, that's basically what it is. You're networking. So. Right. But the beach was good too. The Mediterranean is very, very, very nice. And our place was literally right across from the beach. So I was there as much as I could. It was very nice.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. Well, I'm excited to go, and hopefully you'll be there too, and we can hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see you there in person.
So I want to let everybody know that this monthly film series that we do happens every month. For the whole month, we screen either a single film, feature film, or documentary, or our shorts program. And next month will be our animated shorts, which Dan, you're going to be part of that. So anyway, so for all of you out there that's listening, you know, this is a monthly film series and you can stream it on Red Nation Television Network every month. This is what we do. So Olivia, what's next for you?
Well, I just did something for Netflix. I can't say what it is, so but that's going to be exciting as well. That one was, I can say it was an Indigenous role as well. So that was really nice. Vancouver has a lot right now of like authentic casting. That's kind of, I don't want to say it's a trend, but the trend right now is like, you know, involving people and authentic casting. So I find there's actually a lot of work right now for me as an Indigenous woman, which is really nice to see, because when I was in Edmonton, there wasn't a lot. And I don't even know if there was a lot here at that time either. It's kind of blown up in the last couple of years, like you said. And obviously there's not a lot of Indigenous actresses right now. So it's easier to get roles, which is nice, but hopefully I get some competition soon for, you know, lots of people I know are starting to kind of get into the film industry as well, which is really nice to see, because it's so easy right now, especially it's all self-tapes. I've only done self-tapes since the pandemic started. And even I was up visiting family in Tuktoyaktuk, shout out people up north. And I was talking with some of the kids there, and a lot of them are really into the arts, you know, but it's so hard in those remote communities to get into it. But now I kept telling them, now is the best time to get into it. It is so easy right now to be getting your foot in the door. So things are looking really good here. It's a little slow right now because pilot season just ended, but things are looking really good over here for me.
Well, you know, I want to let our audience know that we have from June 19th to the 22nd, our Native Indigenous Student Academy for Cinematic Arts. And it's a film festival. There's 10 student film screening and an award ceremony and a mentorship program for 2 days. And I'm going to reach back around out to you, Olivia, to talk to you about that. Maybe you can speak to these youth and encourage them.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So Helen, what's on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm on hold right now. As Olivia says, we usually have an NDA, so I can't say too much as well. But I have been working in the UK for the last 3 years, and it's on a television series. And right now we're just on hold to go back in the next within the next month or two, and then into 2023. So that's what's keeping me busy these days. That sounds exciting. I can't wait till we can all reveal what we're working on. I know those NDAs, right? We need to be able to, we'd like to be able to share with people. Come on, I wanted to tell you all about this, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And it's sometimes that's a good thing. Not just keep the magic in. Right. So Dan, what is your next?
Like I say, I've been working on a TV pilot for a show called Daughters of the Wolf, which is about, and I've been following this storyline for quite some time. About 10 years ago, there was this group of young girls that were they were an organized street gang. And I thought, you know, I've never really heard that concept. Most of them were Indigenous, so I've been exploring that. I think we screened a Raven song. I believe we screened that at Red Nation. That would have been quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And then it popped up again in Abducted, and then it's going to pop up into this, because Edmonton has quite a rich gang stories. We had a lot of organized Indigenous gangs that actually started off in the prisons. And then they came into Edmonton, and that's where they kind of established themselves. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have an all-female gang in between the two gangs. So that's kind of the concept of it. And again, I've been researching it for years. So. And yeah, I'm working actually on a romantic comedy that's going to be a feature film, Indigenous themed. There's a big market for that, so I'm excited. I'm a romantic at heart, so I've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And then the animation, we're still, I mean, I've pretty much wrote outlines for the entire second season, and we're going to be going to Banff, the Banff World Media Festival here next week. So we'll be pitching that as well. So that we kind of did, Cannes was more the feature film, and then Banff's kind of more the TV. So we're trying to do both, get it, and some web series as well. So. And work and run our film festival. Everything else.
I know. We're workaholics. Well, you know, actually, instead of saying workaholics, I would like to say creative. What's another word we can use? I don't know.
I'm not sure if there is one.
I know.
Just go.
Okay, we're workaholics. We can say it.
Yeah.
Passionate and driven.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I also want to let all of you know, and also our listening audience, that the 27th edition of Red Nation International Film Festival will be held November 1st through the 30th, and it's going to be 2 weeks in person and 2 weeks online. And we're going to have our award ceremony is going to be November 6th, and this year we're having it before the screenings.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you know, we're gonna we have this for you, Dan and Sharlene, and others that are listening. We have this this unscripted lab it's called The Pitch Is Back, and it involves documentaries, all kinds of films, and End of the Line, the Women of Standing Rock was part of that in 2016 when they had their doc short. And there was several films at that time, Blood Memory and a few others, that pitched to an audience of investors and producers and a general audience. And they got a little bit of funding from that. And so we do that. We have that during our festival. So I think we're going to do it virtually this year. So I'm inviting you to the table to share what you'd like to share or pitch. But I just want to thank you all for joining us today. And, you know, I hope it was as fun for you as it was for me, because I just love introducing our audience. We reach 10 million viewers in 37 countries. And I love that, you know, our viewing audience can experience you guys and hear what you're up to.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Joanelle. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you as well.
You're welcome.
Awesome seeing you again.
Yeah, it was great to see both of you and meet both of you. And for Joel and for Pooky, we love you and keep working. It's good that you're on the set. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Red Nation Celebration Institute is the authentic voice for American Indian and Indigenous nations, founded in 1995. The creative enterprise by natives delivering to all people the stories that shape our world. RNCI's mission is to break barriers of racism by creating systemic change through media and pop culture in order to eliminate Native American stereotypes. Our vision for the future of cinema is one in which Native Indigenous perspectives are authentically pictured, recognized, and valued in a way that promotes strong, authentic Native identities, economic outcomes, equality, and wellness for our Indigenous communities. RNCI is the longest standing Native women-led Indigenous media arts cultural nonprofit enterprise in the entertainment industry. Based in Los Angeles with offices in Santa Fe, New Mexico, serving Indian country and the entertainment industry, representing over 574 plus Native nations. RNCI established a rich legacy of work supporting more than 5,000 plus Native and Indigenous filmmakers through its streaming company, Red Nation Television Network, amplifying more than 839 Native Indigenous filmmakers through its Red Nation International Film Festival. I want to thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next month. And tune in all month and subscribe to Red Nation Television Network and watch the film Abducted, the movie. We'll see you next month. Oh.